Something familiar, something peculiar, something for everyone, a comedy tonight. Something appealing, something appalling, something for everyone, a comedy tonight. Nothing.
Hello, welcome to Framework. I am Al Schwartz. With me, as always, is John Bernard.
Hello, it's me.
Hey. And we are here today to talk a little bit about the Oscars, or awards generally, and how we, being the Maverick Renegades that we are, think that the Oscars don't always get things right.
Bias.
Yeah. So we'll take a brief moment for people to pick their jaws up off the floor. But there's a specific way that this bias manifests that we want to talk about, which is that the awards tend to go toward a particular type of movie. And that is, one, as hashtags have told us over the last couple of years, just so white. But also a very particular type of period piece, costume dramas do very well. Social issue things that have a sort of blandly liberal tilt to them tend to do very well. And of course, anything about the film industry itself is like almost an automatic nomination for whatever. But what we want to talk about is just the broader thing that it is almost exclusively 90+% dramas that get nominated and recognized by the Oscars and other major award shows, and comedies generally get ignored.
Yep.
And so the thought experiment we want to do today is just what if the Oscars were more biased towards comedy than drama, and what performances, like, because pick any year out of a hat and you look at the performance categories, and there's a few of them that you're like amazed, like, oh, I haven't thought about that movie in years. That clearly left no impact. Like, probably wasn't a bad performance, but whatever. And then when you look at the aggregate, some of these comedic performances that do kind of carry with us through the ages, that people are still doing, Ron Burgundy impressions, Austin Powers impressions. Fletch is still a thing that people can reference and get, and so that the Oscars are very bad at recognizing that type of impact, I think.
Yeah, that's well said, Al. That is essentially what this is about. Not exactly alternate Oscars, not exactly these were overlooked, because these are performances that would obviously be overlooked. These are. Yeah. It's not in their character to nominate big, broad comedy performances. They'll flirt with the serio-comic ones. The dramedy performances might get in the door, but they might not. They almost never win, though.
Yeah, there's a certain type. When a comedic performance does get nominated, it still conforms to a particular type. That I think right before we started, you mentioned Jeffrey Rush got nominated for Shakespeare in Love. That sounds like something that definitely could have happened. I'll take your word for it. I know, off the top of my head, Kevin Kline got, I think, may have won for A Fish Called Wanda, but he definitely got nominated anyway. But those are comedies that are a little more real world, a little less broad than, I don't know, Airplane or Anchorman or whatever. And they also they're going to actors that have a sort of established dramatic pedigree that the Academy feels comfortable honoring. Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean would be another example, nominating that performance, but they feel comfortable nominating Johnny Depp because he has established himself as a proper dramatic actor previously.
And you do see the comedies that do sneak in tend to be serious-minded, literate comedies. Woody Allen was a darling of the Oscars for a very long time. Not now, but back in the day, up into Midnight in Paris. He was if you look at actual comedy Oscar winners, like half of them are for Woody Allen movies.
Yeah, and I guess that's a really bad example for me to point at, because didn't Annie Hall winning over Star Wars is an example of the sort of
Well,
genre bias working the other way.
well, yeah. I mean, were they going to give it to Star Wars? No, I guess we'll have to give it to the comedy. Shit, I mean,
Yeah, but as you said, it's the very literate comedy. It's it had that
yeah.
pedigree. I mean, obviously, everything with Woody Allen is very fraught and fucked now.
Yeah, they can't do that anymore, but they did for decades. Like Midnight in Paris was what? Not long ago.
Yeah, but there's Midnight in Paris, and then there's like Dodgeball or something, that is not going to,
Exactly. Yeah.
that is just never going to get considered for a second. And Midnight in Paris has that literary whatever aspect to it. I assume I haven't seen it, but
it's very literate. Yes, it's about novelists.
and it's a period piece, right? So it's got that like that's Shakespeare in Love too. It's a comedy, but it's also fucking Shakespeare.
I mean, Wes Anderson is the other option I thought of.
Yeah, there's like Wes Anderson, Jason Reitman, like these guys can do that a serial comic thing.
Yeah, but even those kind of get, those kind of don't happen as much as people think. Like Bill Murray got nominated for Rushmore. That's like it.
Yeah. But that's because that's as much a dramatic performance as it is a comedic performance.
Yeah, it is.
That's
it is very much a dramatic performance. Yes. It's I think the only thing other than that and Lost in Translation, the most dramatic performance.
Which is a dramatic, fully dramatic performance.
But Gene Hackman, one of the best performances of his career, Royal Tenenbaums, not nominated. Ralph Fiennes, same thing with Grand Budapest, not nominated because they're comedies.
And I do want to talk about Bill Murray and Ralph Fiennes later on.
For sure. Yeah.
I as much as I agree with you that Royal Tenenbaum is an incredible performance that should have been nominated, I almost feel like it's a little outside of this because I think Royal Tenenbaums isn't serious enough and has just enough of that literary whatever cineast pedigree that it wasn't just comedy prejudice working against it. I don't know what it was exactly, but I don't know that it's not the same thing that stops Will Ferrell from being nominated for Anchorman.
No. No. Well, I don't know. Is it like if that? You know what? Yeah, you're right. It's fine.
The other thing that
not
I'm
like
sure
Will Ferrell
is that we're taking shots at the Oscars right away, but this is by all means not just an Oscar thing. This is like all awards tend in the same direction, and it's not even just awards. It's you look at critics lists at the end of any year, and the top 10 is going to be 9 pretty serious dramas and 1 kind of broad comedy, right?
Yeah. I mean, the Golden Globes has the comedy categories, which is kind of laudable and interesting, and they nominate people like Robert Downey Jr., I assume, in those, but they will take any out they can to give it to, well, they'll nominate any musical.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, isn't it comedy or musical? And it's like,
and then they'll stretch it to be like, well, The Martian has some jokes in it, so I guess that hilarious comedy, The Martian, counts as a comedy.
Really good performance, though, Central.
Sure. Yeah, a great comic performance. Hilarious. Yeah. It's
but I want to talk about why that is. And I don't want to excuse us from this. Like when I've made top 10 lists or whatever, they do also, dramas tend to rise there. Like the notable like import of them like sticks more. And I think what that is just that the basic tenet that really good comedy makes things look easy, and really good drama makes things look very, very hard. And so, especially for performances, it's really like the natural inclination is to go after like pick out the performance of the person who's in the most like distress. That's how Leonardo DiCaprio, wins his Oscar for being the very, very cold man in The Revenant.
Yeah, one of his lesser performances for sure. Certainly not, anything. There's a guy. All his funny performances are the best stuff.
Yeah, he was better in Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, or Django. Yeah, like anytime he's being funny, that's kind of when I like him most. And he will continue to make stuff like The Revenant because that's what they reward, I guess.
Because that's what you have to do. You got to
right.
You got to go back to the 1800s if you want that automatic nomination. But you mentioned Downey earlier, and that's something like I think it's almost inarguable that they like the most important in a cultural sense performance of the last 20 or 25 years is probably him as Iron Man, like in terms of impact.
Without a doubt. I mean, that influenced everything that has been happening in Hollywood since then. It's more than just that performance, but it's really that performance.
Yeah.
That's why that first movie works. and it's why he played the role. I don't know, is it 9 more times, something like that?
I think it's even more.
It's what he's been asked to do
Yeah.
since then, and
That
has
is the
been
rock on which Feige built his church, though. I mean,
Yeah.
like everything else goes out from there. And I think part of the reason, like, with the Marvel movies will never get like any awards recognition or any real critical respect, even though, I mean, if you want me to rank movies, I think Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the best movies of the 21st century. Just most purely entertaining cinematic experiences, whatever. But they're never going to get any kind of recognition from an awards body because, I mean, and Downey embodies this entirely, is that he makes everything look so effortless. And that's what he's doing in that performance. Is that, it's almost like that scene in The Social Network where Zuckerberg's like, no, you don't have my full attention. You have the minimum required amount of my attention. And that's sort of Downey's, vibe throughout all that. And it's also his vibe in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Zodiac. It's a performance he's given in other contexts, and it's a little easier to, I think, in those other more dramatic contexts, like give it a little more due.
It's interesting to me that when Downey straight up tries to do drama now, it usually sucks.
Yeah.
Like when he tries to go for an Oscar, he's like, I'm going to make, what was that? The Soloist?
Yeah. Like that was, I say, something about a homeless violin player.
Or The Judge with Robert Duvall. He can't do those anymore. He has to do the sort of slant-eyed thing, the half comedy approach to it, or all comedy. I mean, I guess the only nomination he's actually had in the last 15 years was for Tropic Thunder, which
was he nominated for that?
He was nominated for that. Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, that is a hell of a performance. I know it's not like the most PC thing or whatever anymore, although that is sort of the point of it, even at the time. But
yes, that was the same year as Iron Man, so he probably got it a little bit for Iron Man too.
Well, that is one thing that the Oscars are always trailing. That's that's like Leonardo DiCaprio gets it for The Revenant, and because they're trying to catch up for performances they missed in years past.
I would say that if the Oscars had a comedy bias, like we're talking about, Tropic Thunder would probably have swept the awards that year.
Certainly the acting awards.
Yeah, it's all the things they like, and also a big silly comedy. So it's about Hollywood. It has some significance to it.
That's true.
To it all, it would have been there. They would have loved it if they could allow themselves to embrace a silly comedy.
That is true. I have a couple other movies I throw out that are, I think, in this alternate reality with a comedy bias, where they would have like swept all the major awards, particularly the performance categories, because I was thinking about these movies and like unable to decide which performance I would want to like pick out and highlight for us talking here. So one on the lesser side, maybe but In Bruges has 3 incredible lead comedic performances, and I can't decide which one. I mean, I guess not lead. Like Ralph Fiennes clearly would be nominated for supporting in that category, but Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell are both fantastic in that movie, and I think deserved a Golden Globe nomination at least. Like
yes, they might even have got. I don't think they did, but that's the kind of thing that the Golden Globes might pay attention to.
We're not going to check any of our work on Golden Globe nominations while we're talking here. That's sad.
But yeah, like that made my list as well. That is an excellent film, and a comedy, and there's really
3 fantastic comedic performances.
Yes, I mean, I think you could probably, if you wanted, say that that's the career highlight for all 3 of them. I mean, you could argue otherwise, but I think the argument could be made that neither of them have ever been any better than that.
I think it's easiest to make for Farrell. Gleason and Fiennes both have a lot of other, distinguished things.
Stuff,
Oh, Brendan Gleeson's always great.
He is always great, but he's especially great in that.
There's some people, probably British people, that would tell us Paddington 2 is actually like what we should be talking about with him.
I've heard wonderful things. And that was another one. They did. A lot of people are saying Hugh Grant should have been nominated for that. I, again, have not seen it, but it's also something that everyone knew wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't going to get nominated for the Talking Bear comedy, no matter how good he was in it.
No. Another one, though, the Princess Bride.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's one. Like, I mean, it's generally surprised me. Like, I mean, Carrie Elwes probably should have been nominated for that. Although, when I was thinking about, like, but also Mandy Patinkin should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor, probably.
I would say Mandy Patinkin is like a walk away lock for best supporting actor in that. Like he's, doesn't matter what else is nominated. It's Mandy's year kind of thing. If they're going to allow comedies to win.
I actually want to look that one up because maybe he did. Like it almost feels like that they could have done that. Like the Academy might have recognized that, but
they'll sneak one in on you sometimes. Pat Morita and the Karate Kid, but I don't think Mandy Patinkin got nominated. I'm going to Google it while we're talking.
No, I didn't. He didn't. No major awards there. But also, I think
screenplay insane.
No, sorry, no acting awards or best picture. Looks like it was nominated for best original song. Is that it? Really? Not screenplay? That is appalling.
It's comedy bias, man.
But
it's a frivolous
I thought screenplay was. Well, I would have said before we started here that screenplay was a category where maybe that was less pronounced. Like, yeah, the comedy's not going to win, but you're probably going to get like 2 of them nominated every year instead of 1. But anyway, I was saying, like, in this alternate reality, I think you could also be fully justified in nominating both Wallace Shawn and even Andre the Giant in supporting there. Andre the Giant's hysterically funny in that movie.
I mean, I don't think he sneaks in, not with the competition he's got from his own movie. But yes,
right.
It's a great
yeah, I think Wallace Shawn edges him out.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, he's wonderful in that. It makes you wish he'd made more movies. It's an iconic performance. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Everything.
I don't think I'd nominate Robin Wright.
Maybe, but I mean, it's not as pure of a comedic performance. She's like sort of carrying the dramatic end of that. She doesn't get to do the jokes the way that I mean,
everyone else does. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's just about everybody. Except maybe Christopher Guest. I don't know. But
he's very funny in it. He's really funny in that movie.
But yeah, I think Mandy Patinkin, you're right. Walk away winner. I think Carrie Elways should have been a real contender. That is a weird, difficult role that again, but it's sort of like Iron Man. That the whole thing, making that role work means making everything look so easy that like it's just breathing to you.
It's strange to me. His career did not like completely take off after that performance. Like that's a performance not many people could do. And here he is, just like, look at me do this. This is I'm nailing this, and no real good roles, nothing that good ever came his way again. It's crazy. Yeah. Maybe if he got an Oscar.
Maybe he couldn't carry the like super heavy dramatic stuff. Maybe we're going to put him in, Driving Miss Daisy or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess they're not making a lot of Adventures of Robin Hood type movies in the 80s and 90s.
It's insane that The Princess Bride came out and they didn't do that, though.
Yeah. Yeah, they should have.
Yeah.
Well. But yeah, he's clearly very good at that thing.
The other one that I wanted to throw out that would absolutely just crushed every performance category is Raising Arizona, and
so great. Yeah.
That also Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay. If you're taking comedies seriously, which is I guess our conceit here, then would have been a contender for all those too. But
yeah, I mean, you can do that with all the Coen comedies for the most part, or the really good ones anyway.
Yeah, but this one stood out to me.
Yeah,
where like you're definitely like Nicolas Cage for Best Actor, Holly Hunter for Best Actress, and then the supporting actor category would just be clogged with Goodman and William Forsythe, and I think Trey Wilson he's fantastic in that movie.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I don't know if I'd nominate Randall Tex Cobb, but it's a fantastic comic performance.
It's perfect for the movie.
Yeah, that's a masterpiece. And yes, it clearly should have won Best Picture of the year it came out. I don't even know which year that was, but it's. I mean, that's a contender for
86 maybe. No,
one of my all-time favorite films ever. So yes,
it's pretty perfect.
Yeah. So that one is a given, but I would say Lebowski is as well, honestly.
Like, yeah, but it didn't. I mean, Bridges got nominated. That's the reason why I wasn't like going there.
No, he didn't.
What?
No,
really?
Didn't. No, he didn't get shit. Nothing got it. No nominations for Lebowski. Exactly.
Neither Bridges nor Goodman. I gravitated away from that. I was like, they probably did recognize that one, but that is insane. You're right. Because that is one of the most iconic performances of the last half century.
Yes, it is.
And Walter is pretty iconic as well.
Mm-hmm. Everyone's really funny in that. Philip Seymour Hoffman's funny in that.
Yeah. Turturro.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, you just got troubles in supporting actor, but it doesn't really matter because Goodman's going to win that year.
Well, if we're staying on the
Yeah.
Coens too, absolutely, Goodman's taking
Yeah.
that one home.
That's what he should have won for. He's never been nominated. That's insane.
I cannot believe that. This is blowing my. This was my idea to do this, and that still shocks me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, oh my god. But okay, staying on the Coen brothers. I think in this alternate reality, I think both George Clooney and Brad Pitt probably have at least nominations for comedic performances, and I think Clooney should have been nominated for "O Brother, Where Art Thou."
He's wonderful in it. Yeah.
Brad Pitt probably should have been nominated for "Burn After Reading."
He's pretty great in it. Yeah, it's a very funny performance.
I think you could actually make cases for Brad Pitt being nominated also for both Fight Club or maybe even Inglourious Bastards. But again, the reason for that, those are not like broad comedies, so I don't think. Yeah, well, I mean,
they were going to give Bastards to Waltz that year. That was his.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that was the right decision.
Yeah. Has Pitt been up for? I feel like Pitt got a big comedy nomination. He was up for 12 Monkeys.
And he's good in that.
It's sort of funny.
I think he's also really good. Maybe like this performance is not well thought of, but I think he's also really funny and really good in Snatch.
He is. He's a very talented comic actor. And, and I guess you could say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a comic performance. And he did win for that, but he did win for that. You also have Hollywood worship in there and just a guy who's due and a lot of stuff along those lines to help him along there.
Yeah, I just Googled that. So let me read you Brad Pitt's Academy Awards history according to the Google results. Best Supporting Actor winner for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well deserved. Nominee for The Big Short.
What?
Oh no, sorry. What? That's Best Picture was nominated, or Big Short was nominated for the Best Picture. Okay. Nominated for Best Supporting Actor for 12 Monkeys. I think that's okay. I mean, it's a twitchy, it's a big performance, so okay. Yep. But it's a good performance. And then he has two other Best Actor nominations. One for The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which we recently talked about on this show.
Yeah, just, of course.
Give me a fucking break. And the other Best Actor for Moneyball, which is a movie I watched last week for the first time.
Oh wow, it's good. That's a sedate.
It's fine. So I watched that coming off of we watched Social Network for our other podcast series, and I was like, it's an Aaron Sorkin screenplay, sort of interesting, also about people revolutionizing an industry, like kind of pulling the rug out from under the old guard, and Brad Pitt, who I think is really good and underrated, and I don't know, it just wasn't. It didn't have the pop that Sorkin screenplays usually have. I didn't feel like.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. It's I credit that to the director. I forget the guy's name. Is it Bennett Miller? Maybe.
I think it's the important thing is we don't know.
Well, his career is movies that are really, really kind of staid and they sap a lot of the energy out of them, and it sort of works sometimes. He did Capote, and he did the Steve Carell wrestling Foxcatcher.
Foxcatcher. Yeah, that's a fucked up movie.
Yeah, it's fucked up, but it's also
because because of the true story behind it. Not, I mean,
yeah. But those are not movies that you're gonna be like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna throw on Capote tonight. Those are kind of one and dones, as good as they are, at least from me. And,
no, but you think a Sorkin script and a Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill as your leading performers would liven things up?
You're right.
But
Jonah Hill.
Yeah, I think the problem with that movie is that he's not
Chris
letting.
Pratt's in there?
Yeah, he's not.
Iconic.
And Philip Seymour Hoffman's in there.
Funny people, all of them. Yeah,
and he's not letting any of them give comedic performances. I think that's sort of what held that.
Miller.
Yeah, Bennett Miller.
And that's why they could nominate it. That's why they could give it Oscar nominations.
Exactly, because it wasn't funny enough. Yeah. It was unfunny enough to get nominated. That's great. But okay.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, the Coen brothers, I mean, I guess sort of get to straddle the line in between the real world and our alternate reality here because they get to be darlings of the Academy either way. since they do.
Well, they do searing dramas, and
Yeah.
that's how they win. No Country for Old Men,
hmm
which is a funny movie actually, but that's not what you remember about it.
Oh yeah, it is. But you're right. It's
Mhm.
not what you remember about it.
I guess Fargo is kind of the real bridge between both versions of the Coens, and that was a big Oscar film, so it can be done.
Yeah, I think that is both. It's getting nominated because of the more dramatic elements to it, and also there's an element there of the Oscars trying to like catch up for. What did they give Pulp Fiction?
I think it was like the year before. Yeah, I think.
Did Pulp Fiction win an Oscar? I don't.
No. I mean, it won writing, but it didn't win Best Picture. No.
Yeah, so I think that's sort of the catch up is they're giving it to it that Fargo was, I think, erroneously viewed as a part of the Pulp Fiction like lineage of offbeat,
Right.
Crime, semi-comedic thing.
But Fargo didn't win shit. I mean, except for Frances McDormand. Frances McDormand won, but it did not win anything else. It
Well
was
deserved.
defeated by The English Patient, which is a dramatically worse film than Fargo.
Yeah, The English Patient also like it seems like the 30 Rock parody version of everything we've been talking about here.
Yes,
it's just created in a lab to prey on the sensibilities of the average Oscar voter.
Right. Not funny.
So here's another type of movie that I think is sort of interesting to consider in this is sports movies that are sort of comedies that sort of straddle it. Because I think, like, take something like White Men Can't Jump, and
interesting choice.
You could make a case for both Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes as giving best actor worthy performances in that movie. I think, and I'm not sure. Sometimes I think sports movies can sneak up there. Maybe it helps to be about baseball, because I think like Bull Durham is another comedy that has some performances I think got some recognition.
I believe so. I think baseball is white enough to sneak in.
Well, at least pre-1990 it was.
Field of Dreams was a big Oscar movie. It's not really a comedy, but it's very much a baseball movie. And, and so I think that, White Men Can't Jump.
But Bull Durham's better in there,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think White Men Can't Jump should have got a couple nominations there. And maybe, did Rosie Perez get nominated there?
You know what? I think she did. I believe she... Shit, I don't know. I don't know if she was nominated. It was her breakout role, though. And she had a career because of it, so maybe.
What, not Do the Right Thing?
No, I think that she's good in that, but everyone's in Do the Right Thing. She's like third lead in White Men Can't Jump.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think she did get nominated. I mean, but
she got nominated for Fearless. I know
that.
It's going to irritate people, the things we forget.
Yeah, I know.
We're doing okay. I think we're doing okay.
Yeah. So, okay, that's one thing. Like, I don't want to focus too much on sports movies. I think that is an area where they can sort of sneak into the existing realities, like onto the Oscar radar. Moneyball obviously succeeded. Field of Dreams does it. Bull Durham's had some great performances. I think Kevin Costner also, he's going to win his Oscars for Dances with Wolves or Field of Dreams, but I think Tin Cup is probably a better performance than he gives in Dances with Wolves.
I'd have to agree with that. Yeah, he's good in Tin Cup.
Yeah,
that's the kind of movie I want to see him doing. Honestly, playing some sort of sportsman cad. That's much more compelling, I think, than when he's playing a heroic anti-racist cowboy, which he's done several times as well. No,
that's true.
I'm kind of full of shit. I kind of like him doing that too. I kind of like when he does that. So I guess I like Kevin Costner more than I realized.
Yeah, I think I'm realizing that too as we speak. But also, I think he has now sort of aged into the cowboy thing a little better. When he was younger, like the sports, being a catcher or a golfer was really like kind of perfect. And I think he wanted to be a cowboy when he was 34. But now he's like probably. I haven't watched Yellowstone yet, although everybody keeps telling me to. And I think that hat probably fits him a little more comfortably now than it did in Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to get too old for Westerns, that's for sure. Westerns is a category oddly kind of beloved by the Oscars, but not when they were popular. Only after they weren't.
Only once it became about the history of
Yeah.
Hollywood. Like,
yes.
I mean,
That's funny. That's
I think that's true. It sounds harsher than I even mean it. Like, I think it's like obvious that, of course, people recognize things in themselves, and that resonates with them. Like, okay, but I want to talk about some other types of performances that don't get recognized. I think like
well, while you're talking about sports comedies, is
Okay.
that maybe a good transition to Will Ferrell?
Sure, why not?
I think Anchorman.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not a sports comedy, but
no, but it's such a no-brainer.
Come on, yeah. I mean, that's a best actor nominee right there. I think.
I think it absolutely should be. And I think you could say I think that John C. Reilly and Walk Hard also should be a no-brainer nominee, but history does not back me up there as well as it does with Anchorman.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, there's these performances that turn out to be really incredible comic performances in movies that did not hit at their time of release. So it almost doesn't matter because a great performance that no one sees doesn't get nominated.
Yeah,
usually. And they're not pushing these movies, so maybe if they had, maybe there'd be more traction for the lesser things that we will be talking about as we go forward. But yeah, Farrell is I would say John C. Reilly in Talladega Nights is an Oscar worthy performance. I think it's my favorite.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree. I think Talladega Nights does not hang together that well as a movie. I mean, even though it's even really the other like Will Ferrell, Adam McKay broad comedies are like very shaggy and don't like pull it. But I don't know. Talladega Nights is one where it's like depending on what part I'm flipping past, like on the dial, I might keep watching, I might not. Whereas like Anchorman or Step Brothers, like every scene has got something absolutely stupid and absolutely hilarious going on.
Well, they have less plot. Like that's the thing about Talladega Nights is that he gets a little bogged down in there having to be a plot and a narrative, and they don't fuck with those in Anchorman or Step Brothers, which are those are both Step Brothers. Both of them are probably Oscar worthy in that. I have to say they're some of my favorite comic performances.
Yeah, that's a two-hander. It's hard. Like they might block each other from winning. They split the vote.
Yeah, you can't nominate one because it's such a partnership.
Okay, so let me put it to you this way. Yeah. So in this alternate reality we're talking about, where the Oscars are skewed towards comedy. Here's a list of people that I'm putting together that now have multiple acting Oscars. And you tell me what they won for. So Will Ferrell's the starter.
Okay, what did he win for? He won for Anchorman.
Yeah. Anything else?
He's been nominated a few other times, I think, but no. I think he
nominated for Step Brothers, but they split the vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe like he gets just a habitual knee-jerk nomination for Talladega Nights as well.
I bet. Yeah. Okay. And I think he gets I think he gets the automatic like sort of Meryl Streep just nominated almost no matter what. He's not winning after the first one because there's always somebody else that they feel like they have to give it to, but he gets one for semi-pro. Just because.
In a bad year.
And in Blades of Glory, whatever. Yeah.
He's quite funny in Blades of Glory, I'll have you know. It's not a bad performance.
He's never not funny. But okay, Anchorman clearly though. There, just head and shoulders above the rest. Like,
or does he lose that and then they have to give it to him for Step Brothers or something else because they were like, oh, we got to make up for not giving it to him for Anchorman.
Yeah, that's the way. Okay, yeah. I guess so. In our alternate reality, the Oscars still like operate in the same way where they're missing the boat and then trying to play catch up. Yeah, okay.
Of course, yes.
Okay. All right. So Bill Murray, he's probably got like 4 or 5 in this guy, right?
Yeah, I think this is the Meryl Streep. I think that you're looking for. I think this is, I think he's there for most things he does.
But what do you think? What do you think he should have won for?
He should have won for Ghostbusters, and he should have won for. What about Bob?
What about Bob? Okay.
I love that one.
I can accept that one. I don't love that movie, but I can still accept.
The movie's fine.
And I love Ghostbusters, but I'm not sure that I get Best Actor. Like there is a degree, I guess that Peter Venkman and Tony Stark have something in common there, where it seems like he's just sort of slouching through the movie and not really trying. But that's That's
Yeah,
also
but try replacing him. Try anyone else there. It's not
Exactly.
going to work. Yeah.
it's the essence of the character and the essence of the movie because of it. So okay, maybe I'll give you that. I want to throw out that I think he also won a Best Supporting Actor trophy as Big Earn McCracken in Kingpin.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I love that.
That's
That's
not a
That's
great
great.
movie, or not like a fantastic all timer movie,
Uh-huh.
but oh my god, Hall of Famer, Mountain Rushmore movie douchebag, just incredible prick performance by Bill Murray. It's astounding.
It's almost, you almost love him, even though he's
You
he's
do?
clearly-
I mean, I
Yeah.
do. I shouldn't have said you. I should have said I do.
Well, I mean, I love him because he's Bill Murray, but even
Yeah.
the character of Big Earn, you're kind of just like, yes, he's my hero in this film. It's and he wins, doesn't he? Doesn't he win at the end?
Yes.
That is a good movie. You know what? That movie's great.
It's incredible.
That's the best Farrelly film, if I recall.
Yeah. But I think the Farrellys have multiple in this alternate reality have multiple like maybe best director or best screenplay nominations at Fisher. And I think
Something About Mary cleans up. It cleans up. It takes it all. Yeah.
Something About Mary movie
Schindler's
hasn't
List.
aged particularly well, but Matt Dillon wins his Best Supporting Actor nomination for
He
that
does.
too. He is
Yeah.
that another all-timer incredible movie douchebag performance. Just the enormous shit-eating grin on his face that he's so proud of himself when he turns to her and says, "I work with retards," is incredible.
Yeah, he's wonderful in that film. I think that is that's one of those movies where they get away with their most evil jokes by putting him in the bad guy's mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they get away with it if you rewatch it today, but that is an incredible performance.
I agree. Yes, it's
such
better
a
than what
weird
he does
movie.
in Crash. Than his nominated performance in Crash, for God's sakes.
Oh my god, he got nominated for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But quick sidebar about just how fucking weird, like there's something about Mary is now. Like the premise of that movie is that it's a mad world where it's just a bunch of stalkers like racing across the country to see who can catfish this woman into like trick them into fucking her.
Yep.
It's wild that was like the most popular movie of that year, and that was in our lifetimes, like not that long ago, you know.
No, was that the 90s? Is that it screams 90s?
That was
to
the
me in my mind.
late 90s, man.
Yeah. That's great. You know what? That makes me want to watch it again. It's been some time.
I saw like the second half of it on TV like last year, and I was shocked and appalled by it, but also like, god damn, Matt Dillon is just on fucking fire in this movie in every scene.
Everyone's really funny in that. Keith David's really funny in that.
Keith David's great. Our boy W. Earl Brown.
Yes, he's great in that. He's fantastic in that. W. Earl Brown has a few of those. You know, that Dan Doherty from Deadwood was also what's the character's name? Is that Earl? The brother from Something About Mary.
Warren.
It's Warren, that's it. Yeah. Earl Warren.
Earl Warren, yes. Okay. But all right, well, let's keep things moving here.
Yes.
All right, so Chevy Chase, Fletch. I think in our reality, he probably should have been nominated for Fletch.
I guess Fletch is the one. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Vacation.
Vacation also, yeah.
I think he's nominated for both of those. I think it's like, you know, like this is an actor, you know, at a hot point in his career, and he's gonna sneak in there.
Okay, my contention is this then. He's nominated for Fletch and for Vacation, loses them both, ends up winning for Christmas Vacation.
That makes sense.
Over somebody more worthy.
Yeah. Checks out. Absolutely. I think Quaid's nominated for Christmas Vacation as well.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
that guy has
legitimately.
lost all of his damn mind and is a danger to society now. But really fucking funny performance in Christmas Vacation and Vacation. But I think actually that character shines brightest in Christmas Vacation.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. That's the Cousin Randy movie. That's
well, no, they made one that like National Lampoon presents Cousin Randy's Vacation.
You're right, they did. That's the Cousin Randy movie. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe Beverly D'Angelo sneaks in for one of those as well. Who can say?
Yeah, she probably gets nominated but doesn't win because she's really good. Just doing the supporting thing there.
This is fun. Okay,
let me throw another one at you. Vince Vaughn, Swingers, right?
I don't know. I think he's nominated for Swingers. and that is the announcement, and that's his premiere performance. So like it's the kind of thing where they give you the nomination to say, hey, good job, let's see what you can do, and then he takes it home for Wedding Crashers, which is the most popular comedy in the year it came out.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about a film that hasn't aged well.
I mean, I kind of see what you're saying, but I think that I'm a little surprised that in our reality he did not get nominated for Swingers.
It's such an indie.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, and I guess the Oscars aren't really about celebrating indies; they're about celebrating the industry that they were trying to break into. But it was such a Swingers is a comedy, but had a little bit enough of that, like, I don't know, social relevance or whatever, that it was trying to like
something. Yeah.
Not that it was trying to like say something about an issue or anything, but just that it was like, oh, here is the snapshot of the voice of the generation that has just spoken, and I'm a little surprised that it didn't even like. And Vince Vaughn is obviously the clear standout there so much that nominating him and not giving it to him for Best Supporting Actor would be like the easiest way to acknowledge that, like, we see something big happened here, but we don't know what to do with it. So I'm a little surprised that didn't happen.
I mean, I think it just did happen, but like over a longer time period, like that movie kind of had to find an audience. I doubt that movie made much money in theaters when it was released. I mean, I think it got buzzed about, and they probably liked it at some festivals or something like that. But it struck me as a home video success. That's when we all saw on TV, after the fact kind of thing. Certainly how I saw it.
Okay, so he ends up winning for either Old School or Wedding Crashers, then.
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah. Farrell's giving him competition in Old School, though.
I mean, I think Vince Vaughn's funnier in Old School than Will Ferrell, but I think
but Will Ferrell's the Academy darling in this world.
Yeah, that's
but he's not yet. He's not yet. That's his breakout. So no, you're right.
Yeah, Anchorman's the one they can't deny. I think. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I have a couple of people that are just people I think are it's sort of a crime that they're not better acknowledged in our world, but in this world maybe they are thought of a little better. So number one, Raul Julia.
Ooh.
I think he gets nominated for The Addams Family and for Street Fighter.
Do they nominate Street Fighter? Can they bring it in themselves in this universe?
In this world, they don't nominate Street Fighter for anything, but they nominate him for supporting actor.
Look, his performance in Street Fighter is magnificent. It is it is every single thing that you could ever want a theatrical villain to be.
Yes.
And for some insane reason, Street Fighter, like the movie, kind of snaps to attention and gives him good material. For the rare moments when it's just him doing a scene. All of a sudden, the movie's well written for some reason. It's crazy.
It's the only thing that you could hope for from that character in that performance.
It's everything you could hope for. It's phenomenal. I mean,
and I think he and Angelica Houston both in The Addams Family. Stupid idea to do like that as a movie. Probably doesn't hold up that great overall, but way better than has any right to be.
We watched them during the pandemic. If we watched them during the pandemic, those movies are great. They're really funny still.
Really?
And you're also nominating Christina Ricci.
Are you?
Maybe for the second one. But yes, she's
wonderful. Even halfway through that sentence, I thought you were going to say you're nominating Christopher Lloyd. I'm like, no, Christopher Lloyd won for Back to the Future already. He won at least twice, maybe 3 times. We're not sure.
He's wonderful in Addams Family as well, because that is a performance that is nothing you've ever seen from Christopher Lloyd before. It is a completely different type of comic performance, and it's.
I haven't seen enough Taxi, but does he do something kind of similar there, where he's like just a antisocial weirdo?
Well, he's like a hippie. He's like a pot smoking hippie in that. No, he's so fucking bizarre in the Addams Family films, and that performance has aged very well, actually. Because I remember coming out of that, everyone was talking about Raul Julia or Christine Ricci, but no, he's great too. So yeah, that one's in the mix as well.
I also want to talk about Angelica Houston. There, I think she's crushing it in that.
The one I had for her actually was The Witches.
I haven't seen The Witches.
You haven't seen The Witches?
No.
Oh, you should watch it. It's an amazing comic performance by Angelica Houston.
Okay.
It delivered under like at least 100 pounds of prosthetics too, which is kind of cool.
Wait. Is this the recent with The Witches?
No, that is a remake.
Okay.
A lesser remake. Don't watch that one.
Too late.
Yeah.
Already did that one.
Oh.
But
Oh,
when you
yeah.
said 100 pounds per I was like, wait, maybe she was hidden in there and I just missed her.
No, no, no. There's a 1990 version of that movie that is considerably better. And if you, I don't know, the new one was it didn't work for me. But maybe that's just because I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm so familiar with that old one, which you should see. It's great. Rowan Atkinson's in it. It's great.
I'll consider it.
Yeah.
I think in this world, Angela Houston then gets like automatic nominations, but doesn't win for Royal Tenenbaums and The Life Aquatic.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
She's really good in Life Aquatic too.
Yeah.
Throw
She's
that
great. I would say so. I don't know if any of those. Does Life Aquatic have anyone's best work in there? Do you think?
Bill Murray is really good. Maybe Owen Wilson. Nah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Royal Tenenbaums again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing about Life Aquatic is it's sort of a lesser version of Royal Tenenbaums. I mean, all of Wes Anderson's movies are kind of either a greater or lesser version of each other because they're so similar. I really like Life Aquatic. I think Murray is giving a fantastic performance. Jeff Goldblum gives a great, comedic supporting performance in that. Incidentally, I think he also gets a Best Supporting Actor nomination for Jurassic Park in our alternate reality.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
He's great in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's an iconic performance.
Yeah, it's not a comedy, but he gives a comedic performance,
Mm-hmm.
and a weird, and honestly, I think maybe like the Oscars or whatever award show would be more interesting if they highlighted this, not this is the best movie, but this is like the most difficult acting lift. So this is the best acting job, and what Jeff Goldblum is doing in Jurassic Park is so just odd that I'm not even sure why they asked anybody to do it, but he's playing a supporting role as a sexpot mathematician.
Yeah,
in a drama. I mean, it's so
works,
fucking weird.
I mean, that's a really well constructed film for what it is. Like it's a masterpiece.
Fantastic.
I think acknowledged, and that he is a major. Well, I think kind of everyone in that is a major part of why it works. Honestly, like you can't have him as the lead, as evidenced by the second film, and
yeah,
and you need the Richard Attenborough character as well, which is completely different from the book to function the way he does. We could do a whole episode on Jurassic Park at some point.
Yeah,
and we should. But yeah,
I mean, you're completely right. You're completely right that the sequel shows why you can't have him as the lead, but you also understand watching the first one how they fell into that trap.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's the Jack Sparrow thing.
Yes, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it happens. That is what people wanted more of, clearly. So,
yeah.
I guess they could have solved it, and that would have been better, but they didn't. So,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here's another actor who I think is more highly regarded in our alternate reality, and really should be in ours. Rose Byrne.
I was going to say Rose Byrne later. Yes,
really?
I agree.
Okay, great.
Oh yeah, Rose Byrne was on my list for sure, and yeah, I mean, I think she wins for Bridesmaids because she gives the best supporting performance in that film.
I thought I was going to have to argue this point with you because most people they highlight that as Melissa McCarthy being like the big standout performance there, and I don't think I think Melissa McCarthy is funnier in Spy than in Bridesmaids, and two, I don't think that Melissa McCarthy is the funniest performance in Bridesmaids because I think Rose Byrne is, and it also has the most difficult role because she has to be the antagonist and is also like really funny and like subtly funny, while a bunch of other people are going much broader around her.
I'd nominate her for Spy as well, Rose Byrne. Actually,
Rose Byrne also great in Spy, but I think in Neighbors, she's hysterical in Neighbors.
She's fantastic. Have you seen? Almost no one's seen this. Have you seen Get Him to the Greek, the Jonah Hill, Russell Brand film? Rose Byrne's amazing in it. She has a fantastic comic performance in there.
I did have way down my list though that Russell Brand gets a nomination for Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
He's shockingly good in it. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. Like Russell Brand, he's a sometimes food. Like you don't want him in everything or whatever. But in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, he is hysterical and just and his whole thing is put to just the most perfect use because he's kind of insufferable in it. Like that's the part that's built into the character. But then you also get it how like everybody wants to fuck him because he's still kind of magnetic even in his insufferability. It's a weird line.
Yeah, like that you end up liking that character is kind of nuts. That's all down to Russell Brand in it. That's a movie I think that would be, I don't know. I feel like that. I mean, we haven't even gotten to the what would you even call it? The
Apatow-verse?
The Apatow-verse, yes, because I don't think that's actually an Apatow film, but it's the people from that Apatow-verse.
Yeah, they're more because they're such ensembles in a lot of cases. It's hard to like. I couldn't pick out who in the 40-Year-Old Virgin to highlight. Like,
I mean, I guess you do Carell.
But I mean, from the supporting cast, like,
stuff.
I mean, I guess I could throw Paul Rudd on the list of people here. Like, what did he win for? I don't know. Maybe, got nominated for Wet Hot American Summer, but didn't win.
That would be my pick for him. Yeah. Role Models, which I can't believe I'm talking. That movie's great, and he's really great in it. I don't know if we're talking an Academy Award.
No, I don't know. And
but
he's really great in all the Apatow movies, but he's usually like the third or fourth best person.
Like he's not getting the nod for Anchorman. I think Wet Hot American Summer is probably the film I would say has, without a doubt, the funniest performances given by Paul Rudd.
Yeah, but it's also it's a movie made up of like
it's
22 supporting performances and no lead performance. So it's like, how do you stand out above that? Like, I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he is the best in that movie. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but that's a weird one. It's a sketch show, and yeah, he's the best sketch actor. But yeah, he's tough to pin down what the great comic Paul Rudd performance is. He's always a great kind of supporting flavor.
Well, I mean, I suppose Ant-Man, like he's now been Ant-Man like 5 times, and he's always every scene he just works in. There's no cachet, even in our weird world here, of like big upping the Marvel movies.
Right.
But again, it's making everything look easy when it's not. Like, it's so easy to fuck that stuff up. Like, you just look around. There's plenty of bad superhero movies, and
a bad Ant-Man performance is very easy to imagine. I don't know, just slot in any random. I mean, we're talking about how Justin Timberlake is pretty good and should have had one of these movies. He would ruin Ant-Man.
He would. Yeah. I think in our alternate reality, I think Michael Pena might have picked up a supporting nomination for Ant-Man.
Maybe.
Just because like his sequences are like the standout. Like maybe like the filmmaking is doing a lot of the work for him, doing the whole drunk history thing. But those are the parts that like you remember and people love. I mean, it's so lovable. And that's Paul Rudd too, I guess.
Is this somewhat more just populist Oscars, like the performances that people actually responded to and will remember?
I think we can do different versions of this. Where like another one where like just genre stuff, maybe like science fiction is more well regarded, maybe horror is more well regarded, or is rewarded by the Oscars in a way that's more commensurate with its popularity among the general public. But those are questions for another day, I think.
They're really struggling with that right now. It really seems like the overlap of really popular films and Oscar movies is a lot lower than it has been in the past. I mean, you're seeing movies that, to say nothing of their quality, movies like Spotlight and Moonlight and what won this year?
Other Lights, probably.
Yeah. It's
Fleshlight.
It's movies that made very little amount of money are getting nominated because they just don't want to. The kind of movies that are really popular right now, they want nothing to do with. Basically, they don't want to give it to Endgame or whatever. And I'm not saying they should necessarily, but like it is a notable disconnect. Okay, so I have a few names to throw at you here now.
Okay.
Jack Black.
I thought about him. He's a weird one to me.
Yeah.
Where even in a comedic context, like he does his own thing. To me, he's like the comedic version. He is to comedy what Arnold Schwarzenegger is to action. Where like they do a thing that I recognize as being like pretty integral to this whole like genre, but just it still plays to me as self-parody in every case. Like it's he's the even an Anchorman. He sort of it's weird to say that he breaks the reality of Anchorman to me, but he kind of does. Like it feels to me like he's coming in from a different movie.
I think he's got 2 lights out Oscar performances on his resume.
School of Rock, is that one?
Yes, and High Fidelity.
Oh yeah, High Fidelity. Yeah, okay. High Fidelity
Yeah.
absolutely is the best supporting. Again, that's one of the ones that in our own reality should have been there. You know.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. It just made his career, so
Yeah.
you know it's okay. But yeah, he
And
should
that
have won for that.
it's a lot like Russell Brand in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where it's this is a guy who is got a very particular taste that doesn't have a huge range, but this movie uses that to its full effect and doesn't like, because it's a supporting role, uses that in a way where it's like, it's okay if you find that obnoxious because that's built into the character.
Yes.
And then School of Rock is a good performance in a good movie, and also using his persona, that's built into that character, that he is an obnoxious Jack Black type, if that is a type of real person.
It is, sure, yeah, why not? But yes, I think I don't know if he wins for School of Rock. I think he's nominated for sure, though. It's like Tom Hanks doing Captain Phillips. It's just like
Tom Hanks is really good in Captain Phillips.
Yeah. Seth Rogen.
Like Paul Rudd too. It's like it's hard to. He's a great member of the Apatow ensemble.
Yeah,
always good, and I don't know where he's the best of anything.
He might be the kind of like always a bridesmaid, never a bride kind of Oscar nominee that you get sometimes. Like a Kate Winslet or something. Where he's nominated for Knocked Up for sure. And doesn't win, and he's nominated for Observe and Report. Trying something different, doesn't win.
Weirdly, I think he and like Bill Hader are sneakily the funniest parts of Superbad.
I agree with that. Yeah,
their performances are hilarious. They're these weird cop performances that are like completely against type for cops, except they make sense still somehow. They're like guys that didn't really intend to be cops but are, and you don't get a ton of like backstory on them in that way, but you just kind of get their vibe.
Yeah, they're very good in that. They're good. Hader is another one. They're just generally really always good, But is there a great Hader Oscar performance? There's not.
No, I mean
he's a TV guy for most of his career.
Yeah, he's doing his best work on TV. Yeah. That's the issue there. Yeah. And I think Hader also may end up, maybe not Oscars, but I think he'll end up winning Emmys if he has. Maybe he won for Barry already.
He's got some, yeah, for sure.
He probably did win for Barry because Barry's also sort of about the entertainment industry, and the Emmys are the exact same way about loving things that are about themselves.
I think he might have won for Barry. I'm like almost positive he won a few for SNL at some point.
He should have. He's one of the all timers.
One of the all timers. Yeah. So
yeah, I don't know. But I don't know what the answer is on Seth Rogen.
Right. Okay, Mike Myers. I mean, I think you're with me on this. I imagine he's nominated for one thing and he wins outright, the original Austin Powers. Right? I mean,
yeah, but he should win for Dr. Evil, not for.
Well, it's the same movie, so it's the same performance.
Yeah, does that matter? I don't know how it works. Like,
yeah, it's a dual role. Like Peter Sellers would be.
I was gonna say Peter Sellers. Does he win for just Dr. Strangelove in general, or did they nominate?
Well, no, he's not nominated because it's comic performance. He's nominated for one Oscar, and that's for Being There, which is his drama. Yeah.
Fuck off. Right. I was assuming that Dr. Strangelove is a type of performance because it's that multi-thing. It's the rare type of comedic performance where you can see the effort going into it.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And that's, I think, what, maybe that's how like Johnny Depp gets nominated for Pirates of the Caribbean too, is that when you can see the effort going into it, that's when the Academy suddenly notices. Why they usually recognize dramas where the effort is more evident.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's true enough. You can certainly see the effort in Dr. Evil and all that. But they're just iconic comic creations at this point, and I think that's sort of the one that pays for it all, with Mike Myers,
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Does he win for Austin Powers? Probably. And if we are spicing up this way, like I don't think he should win for the Austin Powers character. Should he win? Should he be nominated for the Dr. Evil character? Maybe. That's a much better comedic
I
performance.
mean, I think he wins for both. Yes, sure. He's competing against himself. He
Mhm.
definitely wins for Dr. Evil.
But this so actually we just touched on something that is interesting. Another like brand of comedic performance that I think maybe stands a little better chance of being recognized in our world is wastoids, people who are just like on drugs or drunk the entire time.
This is what Sean Penn should have won for. Yes.
Yeah. It's Sean Penn as Spicoli. I was thinking like Richard E. Grant with Nell and I.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I prefer Benicio del Toro in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas to Johnny Depp's performance. But,
nominate him for sure. Yes.
But that's one where you can see the effort going into that brand of comedic performance where everybody has to go big.
You can see the body that is being destroyed in that performance.
Yeah, and Del Toro. I mean, I love Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I love that movie.
Me too. I think it's wonderful. Yes. Yeah.
And Del Toro is a big reason why.
He's pretty fucking great. Yeah.
A force of nature in that thing.
Yeah. Yep.
But here on the flip side, here's one though that's a sort of a wastoid, but where the effort is it's much more in the downy whatever vibe of making it look easy. Matthew McConaughey, Dazed and Confused, should have been a Best Supporting Actor nominee in our world, but
I don't know.
May have gotten.
I don't know. He's got a couple real good line readings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that that's the performance I would single out in that film. I think it's notable because it's Woody, or not. It's not Woody
Wooderson.
Because it's Matthew McConaughey, and he's became a giant star in there. But I don't know.
So would you single out Affleck or Rory Cochrane?
Rory Cochrane.
Okay.
Yeah. And Parker Posey maybe might nominate.
Parker Posey's really good in that.
Mm-hmm. She should have an Oscar at this point for
she
a
should,
performance. Yeah. Well, that brings me to the Christopher Guest mockumentaries.
Yeah. Okay. So I had this thing I wanted to ask about is what do we do even in our alternate reality?
Yeah.
I had two categories. What do we do? One with Borat, and two, what do we do with like Christopher Guest mockumentaries?
I think you nominate them just as well as everything else. I think those are fantastic comic performances, important comic performances.
Oh, I agree. And so Catherine O'Hara is the Meryl Streep of this reality then. Is that what we're saying?
I don't know. It's so hard because they made that movie about Oscars. And it's kind of the worst one they made. It's
that's true.
It gets tough then. But yeah, you nominate her for Guffman for sure. And you nominate Christopher Guest for Guffman. I think Willard wins outright for Best in Show. I think that's got to be the one. I don't know. You throw Eugene Levy something in there because he's always so good. Maybe the folk music one. I don't know, but I think you're frequently nominating people from those films.
Yeah, and Spinal Tap is probably one where like the main guys split the vote.
Yeah,
against each other, and probably like they get multiple nominations and neither of them wins.
Mm-hmm. And that would lead to them winning for other projects down the line, like Princess Bride and Waiting for Government.
I like to think Michael McKean ends up winning for Clue because they're trying to make it up for missing Spinal Tap.
Curry would win for Clue. I mean,
oh fuck, you're right. Yes, you're right.
And maybe Madeline Kahn too.
I had Madeline Kahn down as one of she's another like.
She's got 3. Yeah, she's got it for Blazing Saddles, which I think she actually was nominated for. I mean, it's that undeniable.
Yeah. And Young
Frankenstein
and
Clue.
Yeah. Yeah. And Tim Curry probably also has a slew of nominations and one statue.
Yeah.
For the worst of those.
Yeah.
Tim Curry is a good one. I wish I had that on my list. But I forget what was the question I was answering at the beginning of this.
It was about the Christopher Guestiverse or whatever that would be.
Well, so I guess this is what I meant to say. Yeah, that the improv performances are harder to gauge because it's sort of like a combination of performance and writing at the same time, and hell, that even extends into the Apatowverse too, because like the best parts of like the Seth Rogen and Paul Rudd performances there are when you can tell that this is not this line was not in the script and they're just riffing it, and it's too good to leave out.
Well, I think that only contributes to the performance.
Yeah, okay.
Although I think the thing is,
But it's
comedy
somehow a
again-
less pure performance. It's a combination of things. I mean, it's more impressive in a certain way.
in a certain way, yes. I mean, in a comedy way, which is the
Yeah, I
metric
suppose.
being judged here. That's the thing. It's
But is that acting?
we're getting into a tough thing there. The other problem with the comedy performances and the nominations is it's much more subjective. I think anybody can look at, like, I don't know, Daniel Day-Lewis and Lincoln and be like, well, that's clearly a very good performance. I can see how that's a good performance. Even if
Right.
I'm bored by Lincoln, I have to give it up for that. Whereas, you can just be like, you know what? Seth Rogen bugs the shit out of me. And
But-
that's that.
But when you say that, like, it's because the effort is that much more evident on the screen in Lincoln.
Yeah.
Then
That's true. I mean, it's just the signifiers and the way we define this stuff. The way we understand and acknowledge what a great performance is kind of codified at this point by award shows, for one thing.
Yeah. It's self-reinforcing after a while.
Yeah.
That we now recognize this as it has the sheen of an important movie because it's the type of thing that the Oscars recognize, and the Oscars then feel like they have to recognize those things because that's what the Oscars have done in the past. And nobody wants to be the new member of the Academy that looks like a fraud because they're not voting for the right things. But the thing that I think complicates that even more is like I said with Borat, what do you do there? Because I think it's a crime in our reality that Sacha Baron Cohen was not nominated for Borat or Borat 2, or that Maria Bakalova for Borat 2. Like,
she was nominated.
She was great. Oh, that's fucking great.
Yeah, it was.
You can't tell me that's not one of the best performances of the year.
No, she should have won. Yeah,
but it has that additional like high wire act of like this is both an acting performance and a trapeze, act that is going without a net. Like,
well, it never would have won in another year. If you had more supporting performances this year, they would have avoided that somehow. And then the other thing is they gave Sacha Baron Cohen a nomination for the Trial of Chicago 7, which he's a lot better in Borat 2, like much better. Like I think there's almost no question that that's the better Sacha Baron Cohen performance this year. And I feel like that they couldn't do it. They couldn't give an Oscar nomination to Borat, so they were just like, well, have this thing for this serious movie you were in.
Yeah, it's a period piece. Yeah,
it's about politics. It's left leaning. It's
right. It's everything we're more comfortable with.
Yeah, exactly. One more quick thing: there are famous movie star actresses that win Oscars for the movies that they make that are less popular. And I think in this world, Reese Witherspoon does not win for Walk the Line. She wins for Legally Blonde, which is everyone's favorite Reese Witherspoon thing. Or
that makes sense.
Or Sandra Bullock wins for what, Miss Congeniality. I don't know what was her
probably
a very popular film that she made, as opposed to, well, I guess The Blind Side was popular. That's a weird one.
Yeah.
Charlize
But also,
Theron.
it's also straight down the middle of the Academies, particularly of these,
Right, it very much
just
is.
Safely liberal, that type of thing.
Charlize Theron wins for Young Adult, which is one I think her best performance instead of Monster.
I have not seen Young Adult, but nor have I seen Monster. But I mean, Monster is the exact, it's the other thing. One we didn't mention that they love is a beautiful person uglying themselves up,
of course,
through prosthetics and whatnot. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm glad that they gave at least Borat 2 the nominations this year for lack of any knowing what else to do. But
yep.
But it is something that it's not a pure acting performance. It's a hybrid of that and some other stuff that makes it more impressive in my opinion.
I mean, the Giuliani scene is about as impressive a scene as you're going to get from an actress, in this year or any other. God damn. That's a lot to process at one time. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think we've made our point that a lot of this is arbitrary.
Certainly.
Yeah.
I think we might circle back to this idea and maybe narrow it down a little bit more and say, like, what if the Oscars were more into like were attuned to this, like what would
Mm-hmm.
they recognize? You know, maybe
Yeah,
we'll do something with horror where
for sure.
the Oscars don't have an aversion to horror.
Yeah, or superhero movies, or action movies, or all the
Yeah.
many kinds of movies that the Oscars have an aversion to. It's it's
Yeah.
all out there.
The
Yeah,
things that general audiences actually watch and like.
yeah. Oh, it occurs to me that in this world, would Robert De Niro have toiled in the in dramatic roles for like 20 years, 30 years before finally winning his Oscar for Meet the Parents?
Oh God, that's so good. I hope yes, that's the best thing about this. Or did he accidentally win early on for King of Comedy
That is funny enough to
and then not know what to do with himself?
yeah, then just none of the other films happen. Yeah. Well, we'll come back to this then. That was fun.
Yeah, we'll come back to it in some form.
Mhm.
Until then, we just want to leave you guys, like all you guys, with the beautiful dream of a world in which William Sadler has a Best Supporting Actor trophy for playing Death in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Of course, that would be the one. Yeah.